Hi, I'm Brent Johnson, and today I'm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We've come to First United Methodist Church, home to a Casavant organ. The director of music and organist here is Lamar Drummonds, and he tells us about how this organ came to be in First Methodist.
The organ here was a 63 rank 3-manual Schlicker built in 1972. And it was a fine instrument, but it was a product of its time. The placement of the instrument had it speaking into itself, and it never led congregational singing very effectively. It always sounded like it was coming from a room next door. So in 2013, I started interviewing organ builders. We narrowed it down to 5 builders, all very reputable builders. And throughout a couple of years, we narrowed it down to 2, and Casavant kept rising to the top, and it really came to clarity when a few of us flew to New York and heard some sort of recent instruments in Manhattan, and Simon took me to Christ Church in Bronxville, and as soon as I heard that instrument, that is the sound that I was looking for, and we moved from there. So we signed the contract with Casavant in 2018, and then in 2020 we moved out of this space and we worshiped in our gym for a year. And during that time, again, Terry Eason led the project, the renovation project, and with Terry's guidance and working closely with Casavant, we went through several. One of the main criteria is that we wanted this new exposed grate, the Schlicker. There was nothing on the back wall. There was no exposed pipes. We wanted something that gave the appearance that it could have been installed with the original when the church opened in 1926. They did a beautiful job. People that come into the church that was not here prior to the renovation ask, is that new? It looks like it could have been here forever, and I take that as a compliment. We were to dedicate and move back into the sanctuary in March of 2020, and only that week before to have to cancel because of COVID. And so we actually dedicated the sanctuary yesterday, which was September 26, 2021. So it's been a while, but we have had services in here, and the response to the layperson in the congregation is overwhelming. Perhaps they don't have the terminology to express musically what they're experiencing, but people quite frequently are moved to tears in a good way, especially when they experience the organ leading congregational singing and they hear how it supports the choir now. And it is also beautifully, it's beautiful to look at, which I think is also important. It's inspiring to look at. It's very cohesive in the room. So even in the limited capacity we've had with singing with masks, it is just a real joy.
I'm happy to say we're also joined today by Couture and Dany Wiseman, who are from the Casavant Frères Organ Company. Shimon is the vice president, and he tells us about installing this organ here in the church.
It was quite an experience. It was a good one. Everything went well. I visited here the first time in 2013. And the great thing working here is that the vision was clear from day one. Lamar really wanted what he wanted. So we worked, together in a creative dialogue. It's really what it was, back and forth, and we designed the instrument. New ideas popped out as it happens often, and we really found ways to include everything they had in mind. Of course, as Lamar pointed out, he wanted the organ to play a good service, which is, it's expected. But with all the work they did to the room here, they really wanted this space to become kind of the premier concert hall in town. And so I think, there are more and more concerts here. They wanted the organ to be, the premier pipe organ in town, which is great for us, actually. And so, you know, we started 2013, put a first pick, a first case design, and then the year after they said, okay, we will do big work in the room, and we're happy, very happy about that. You know, well, everyone says, you know, the room is the most important stop in the organ, so we have a great stop in the room.
Yeah, it's fantastic that they've removed all the carpet. It's all hard surfaces everywhere.
Exactly.
Well, did you run into any challenges with this installation in particular, this design?
I would say space. You know, the organ. You know, we had to reuse the two towers on each side, which are you will see.
Those are the original.
Yeah, the chambers. So, but we reused that, you know, to fit as much organ as we could. So. And one thing that's interesting, sometimes, you know, I think it's a good opportunity to say that, you know, people will select a builder on how the organ looks on paper. And, you know, I don't think it's the best way to select a builder. And here, actually, when they say, okay, we want to work with you, the design was not done yet. But after this was done, and with Terry Eason on board, it changed how the organ looked, and the great thing is that, you know, Terry said, well, you really have to extend the case so everything is tied together. But that's really the only challenge, if it is a challenge, is to install an instrument with so much bass tone in a space that was not so large, you know, but it worked. It's interesting, the organ is smaller than the previous instrument in terms of ranks, but in terms of scheme, you know, the focus is really on the 8-foot line and this is 16-foot line.
So it's quite a change from what they were used to.
Yeah, exactly,
exactly. Certainly visually as well as tonally, so it's a wonderful fit for the room.
Thank you.
So joining me today is Dany Wiseman. Dany, you are a project director for Casavant Frères Organ Builders, correct?
Yeah, that's
all right.
correct.
So, and you haven't been there very long, I understand.
No, I started this year in January, but before that I was a professional musician and a teacher, so I was orchestra and choir conductor. I also taught choir at elementary school and high school.
So being an elementary school teacher probably prepares you for all of the details of managing a big organ building project.
Exactly, that's quite the same. And I'm joking.
Well, no, there's a lot of details to keep in mind. There's a lot of things to make sure come together, and they seem to have come together very well here in this instrument. I've heard it played. I'm anxious to hear some of the sounds though, and how we got where we are. Tell me about how the organ's laid out and what stops we have.
So, of course, there's, you know, I like to call our organs in a Franglish style organ, but this one is more an English style. But of course, it has a French tang in it. Of course, it's like the Quebec culture, you know. I think we're kind of Franglish, so our organ speaks like that. So it's 4 divisions, 5 divisions organ. So you have the great choir, solo, swell. So the choir, solo, and swell are expressive divisions, and each division has its own personality, if I may say. You know, so in the great, you have a broad and large scales, the principal chorus and flutes, and I will talk already about the solo division. It's on high pressure. It's also broad scales, and it's a complement to the great divisions. You know, so it really goes well together. If I talk about the choir and swell divisions, they're more orchestral, but also very convenient for accompaniment, choir, and also for congregational singing.
Okay.
If I compare the choir to the great and to the swell, so the choir is really stringy orchestra sound, if I may say, and the swell is also very orchestral, but with large and dark and warm tone. So I will start with the great division, but so the scales are large, but at the same time the tone is clear and bright, which adds, just light into the sound of this organ. So let's start with the principal 8. The scale is large, the sound is broad, but at the same time, there's a consonant that you hear on each note that really define, the music line, and it adds rhythm to the sound. Really.
And it's right here in the front of the organ. In the
exactly, it's in the main case, exactly.
So on top of the 8-foot, then we go on up to a 4-foot octave.
A 4-foot octave, So of course it's complementary to the 8-foot. Light to the 8-foot. Then we go up to the super octave. There's the principal bass 16, which add, I like to say more gravy into the sound. Say it's the bass spice for a full chorus of principals. And add more colors with the quint.
It's a very brilliant sound, but it's not overpowering or super loud in here.
It is not.
Those 5 ranks of mixture add a lot of brightness to the top, but it's well supported underneath.
Exactly. So it's not too high pitched, and at the same time, it just fills the room, and with this, I think supports the congregational singing.
Sure. Yeah. And the 16-foot principal is completely independent?
I think. Yes, it is independent. Yeah. Sorry.
That's right.
I had a bubble in my mind.
Let's hear the 16 by itself, just what it feels like. Lovely.
Lovely.
It's got that wonderful brightness to it, but it's still very full and round. So
and
that's a
not
wonderful addition.
Too heavy at the same time. It's light, but it really complements all the 8-foot line.
Wonderful. And let's go on and talk about the flutes down here while we're at the bottom of the grate. We have 2 flutes in here.
Exactly. So we have a flute 8 and a flute 4. So the flute 8 is a chimney flute. And it has a warm and broad sound. And a little bit of spice in it with the attack. We hear a consonant. So it's good, in the contrapuntal music accompaniment, but also it provides a wonderful solo stop if I accompany it with a small stop diapason in the swell.
Yeah, the brightness and that edge allow it to sing out over that accompaniment.
Exactly.
It's not real loud again, but it's clear.
You don't feel it's overwhelming, but it's really present at the same time. It fills the room, but it's light, bright at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an open flute form, which is absolutely lovely and also provides a beautiful solo. Also, they have their own personality and they complement each other.
As well as being ensemble stops, there's a lot of solo color out of both the principal chorus and the flutes that you could use at whatever range you wanted.
So each division, it's like a small orchestra, and when they all comes together, it's a large orchestra. Yeah.
We have a few more stops in the grate. What else do we have over there?
So we have a beautiful cornet, which I may qualify as with a commanding sound, So it's a 3-ranks cornet. So of course you have to play it with the chimney flute and the open flute. Also suitable for choral preludes. If I play an example, let's say maybe a Bach prelude. Play an hymn with this corner, an introduction or something really soft, or
it really sticks out over those other sounds. Now, it blends very well with the flutes. Can it be used on top of the principals as well, or add color to the principal chorus?
Yeah, let's say you can use the octave just to change the color a bit. Also, I say that this organ has a French tang in it, so let's say if we think about the grand jeu, it works well. You can dance on 2 feet.
Exactly.
You can be English or French at the same time.
That's a distinctive sound. Well,
exactly.
You brought on the reeds there. We have 2 reeds in this division. Tell me about those first, and let's hear those.
So you have a trumpet 8 and a clarion 4, and of course it crowns the full great divisions when you have the principal chorus in 16. But it can also be used as a solo. And let's say it's not a really shy guy. And then we'll have this little friend here. It's also solo. It's also a solo stuff, but you can use it in the full ensemble here. And let's say we had some more gravy in the mixture here. So it's not too loud. It fills the room.
Yeah.
It's not overwhelming, but it's
just
really present.
Also, just the grate. That's all we've got on there.
Exactly.
Coupled to the pedal.
This could be the organ
that
for
you
the
could
place.
accompany him.
Exactly.
With just that. Wonderful. All right. Well, let's move on from there. Where do we go next?
I think we will talk about the swell.
Okay.
So the swell is completely different. As I said earlier, it's more orchestral. It's more orchestral division, but also the scales are broad, but the tone is darker and warmer, and it's also really suitable for choir accompaniment. So the choir is singing here under the main case, under the soffit, which is absolutely really, really convenient for the sound. So when you hear this wonderful choir here at First Methodist Church in Baton Rouge, you will feel chills on your spine. Really, they sing very well. They sing loud. It's not overwhelming, but it's just, it's moving. So what is particular about the expression division? So you have a nave expression off. So you can play with the shades. So you can close the wall from this side, so from the front side, and just move the shades from inside.
So there's shades on the outer side, facing out to the
exactly,
and then shades that face in towards the choir.
Exactly.
So if you turn the nave shades off, nave expression, then those stay shut.
Exactly.
And then so you can keep the sound
exactly.
here.
Exactly. So you can create a complete different sound, and of course it is really good for the choir because they will hear it very well. Okay. So the tone is broad, is darker, which I think helps for the choir because you need support, you need to feel the fundamental tone. So there's a diapason 8, which is really contrasting with the principal. I think we will compare it right after. Dramatic, I may say. The lightness in the principal 8 in the great division, but you feel the darker tone in the swell division. What I particularly like if when you have the Bourdon 16 with it, it's just wonderful. We will play a bit with the nave expression because it really changes the color. Even the shades are completely closed. Add to this the principal 4. So the shades are really, really effective, you know, and that's what I find wonderful about this instrument, that there's it's so expressive, you know. You can change the color as you wish, you know. So I'm looking forward to speaking about the reed stops, because you will hear the difference.
Well, let's keep working our way up from the bottom there first. Now, what do we have after that? 16 and 8?
Yeah, so you have 16 and 8, 4, and you can build a chorus with the mixture. So you have the grave mixture here, that is, you know, really convenient for the accompaniment. So it's not too high in pitch. It's a 2-foot mixture, so it's great for the choir. It supports the choir and the congregation at the same time. And then, so you can build also, you have a sharp mixture, so if you want to add more brightness and light into the chorus here. You can play it in 16.
Different kind of sound there.
Exactly. And again, you can play with the shades, it changes everything.
Yeah, really effective. Just being able to close that whole big sound down.
Exactly. So
it
you
changes
have
the brightness.
Two levels, you know, in the Swell. So I think it really helps to create this effect.
Yeah, lovely. All right. So we also have some flutes there as well.
Yeah. So there's a stop diapason. So it's also the first octave is in wood. And then the rest of the notes are in metal. And then it's completely different from the other flutes, you know. It really has its own personality if you compare it to the great division. The shades, you can play something completely different in color.
It's colorful, but it's also a very covered, warm sound. And almost by the time you close the shades down, it's almost inaudible. You can bring it down to nothing.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like, you know, you can't hear the bass at all, and then suddenly it appears, you know.
Yeah. All right.
Like it was playing from the parish on the other side of the street.
Very good. So then where do we go from there?
Yeah, so we have harmonic flute 4. So we have 2 harmonic flutes. So there's a harmonic flute 4 and the piccolo. It's in the French tradition.
Yeah, very bright.
The harmony
the attack
sound.
on both of them.
So it also works very well for a solo. So let's say later we'll talk about the choir division, but I will use it for the effect.
And that was the 4-foot?
That was a 4-foot.
Yeah,
And
lovely.
the piccolo, so of course it creates a beautiful sound when you play it together.
Very bright and clear and sings out.
But dramatic at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And then to that, you can color the flutes with, we have a separated corner here. So you have the nasal, 2 2/3.
All separate stops. Yeah.
Separate stops compared to the great corner, it's a completely different color. The tierce. Piccolo, so it creates a kind of harmonic corner. Compare it to the great.
Yeah, it doesn't carry nearly as much as the great.
Yeah, yeah. So the great is commanding, and this one is just like, I think I love to say dramatic because the color is darker. Again, with the shades and with the nave expression half, you can create more effect. And also you can play with that.
That's quite a difference it makes there.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then still in the swell division, so you have the strings which are reminiscent of cavaillé, and I think it's a Casavant signature to have that in this organ. So it's really, it's keen in tone, you know, it's maybe let's say, yeah, it's really stringy. You can feel the bow on the string and may say a gut string, you know, not a metal one, but a real gut string. The voix céleste, which create an ethereal sound. Something in the French style.
And what do we call the 8-foot string?
Yeah, it's a viol de gambe,
Okay,
and
so
a voix céleste. So it has a French name.
Yeah, of
so
course.
Of course, it sounds French a bit.
Very nice, thin, bright sound, and carries very well. And I like it a lot.
Exactly. The shades are really, really effective, and they changes everything. It changes everything.
Indeed.
So you can have a whole palette of different color on the same stop.
Wow. Yeah, no, they're very effective, and yeah, you're right. You can. They get so bright when they're open, but you're actually able to get a much darker, but still brilliant sound. It's a strange. They cut through, and it's got that nice. Like you said, the gut, the rosin on the gut.
You have the bow on the gut string. Yeah, exactly.
Very good. All right. Well, where do we go from there?
So we have a reed chorus, and which is particular about this one. In the reed 16, 8, and 4, you have an English on 16, which is absolutely lovely and create a soft rumble, you know, in the case rate, you know, when you use it. So let's start with the English 16 because I think it's a really, really particular sound. We love that, of course. It's lovely. Maybe we'll call it grandpa.
That's new for me because it's a lovely sounding English horn. I find English horns and organs are sometimes really successful and sometimes they struggle a little bit. And I really like the sound of that one. But I've never heard one go all the way down to 16.
Yeah.
And to add that distinctive sound while rumbling away in the low octave. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. So
and
you have it in 8, so it's
eight,
an extension. It's really contrasting with the oboe. So you maybe sound, oh, that's the oboe. No, it's the English. Unlike in the in a real orchestra, you know, you don't hear so much difference between the oboe and the English horn. So the English horn is a bit darker, and of course the range is lower. So that's the effect we wanted to create with this. So, you know, in the orchestral, in this orchestral division. So I will compare it with the oboe, which I think it's a really beautiful singing instrument, and also it's light and joyful at the same time. So you will hear the contrast between the English one, which is a bit darker and melancholic at the same time. You know, and again with the shades, you can change the color, you know, and maybe say, oh, is that the English horn or the oboe?
Well,
so you can play. There's a whole palette of colors.
They're actually a little more similar than I think some people try to make them. Usually the English horn is well off in one, and their differences are subtle, but they're there.
Exactly, like in a real orchestra, because you can't hear exactly.
Maybe that's why I like that English horn so much, is it's not trying to be something completely strange and weird.
Exactly. And then, so in the reed chorus, you have so in the French style, the harmonic trompette and the harmonique clairon. So the trompette harmonique 8 et clairon harmonique, which is completely different in tone than the trumpet division. Of course, this guy is not really shy, but this one, you know, this trumpet harmonic is really present. You feel it. It's not too loud, but it has this dark and bright sound at the same time. then we had his friend, the clairon. And then all the family. The whole brass section of your orchestra
that's
here.
still pretty bold and bright for being more restrained. How does the 8-foot just by itself compare with the great foot trumpet then, side by side?
The great trumpet has more attack in it.
It does, but the volume levels are actually very similar when you put them side by side, but it's darker and more covered back there.
Exactly, exactly. And again, the shades will make the difference again.
Okay, so a lot of versatility there.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what we wanted to do with the instrument, is to we wanted to be really flexible, versatile, and and be able to change the color as you want. Yeah. So we could hear, the full orchestra, I think. So let's pull all the foundation stops, the flutes, the reeds, and the grave mixture. So this will absolutely lead congregational singing in a beautiful hymn.
That's just all of the swell with a few pedals.
It's just the swell.
And actually, yeah, that's fascinating sound. You could lead a pretty decent sized congregation with just the swell.
And believe me, this congregation singing here is a part of this community. They sing loud, they sing well, and they sing beautifully. I had chills on the Sunday morning when I hear them singing. It's just amazing. So yeah, the swell division really support that.
You need that extra power to lift them up.
Yeah,
very good. No, it's lovely and very diverse and effective up there. So that's very well done. Well, let's go over to the other side, which ironically is over here on this side, with our choir and solo.
There's the choir and the solo, so they're both expressive divisions. And as I said earlier, so the solo complements the great. But I'm going to talk about the choir division now. It's also it's something completely different. It's a string orchestra, if I may say, with reed color, of course, but there's the Geigen principle in 16, in 8, in 4 that creates a more stringy sound in the ensemble here. So let's start with the Geigen principle. So you will hear the difference. I think we will compare it with the principle in the great division and in the swell division, so you will be able to hear what I'm talking about, this stringy color. Swell. Great. And with the expression shades. So we really really hear the differences between the three divisions
Yeah,
here.
it's much thinner in the choir. It's much more definitely a Geigen sound.
Exactly. So really string here, and in the great you have something broad scales with light colors in it, and with more attack, and you have a more dramatic sound in the swell division. You know.
Yeah.
And then this goes all together, of course. Principal 8 in the grid. Stops are a complement to another one, you know. So one has more strings in it, more attack, more consonant, and the other one just more fundamental tone. Yeah.
It all blends together into one big, warm, clear sound.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
very nice. All right.
So still in the choir, so you have the Geigen octave 4. So also it helps for choir accompaniments because it is on the left side, and also the choir division has a nave expression off, so it's the complement also for the swell. You know, it's like a big family. They all help each other. So again, it changes the color. So you have the sound coming from the choir going inwards. Towards the choir. Then, with the nave expression, completely open. So you can add to that a gamson too, which is kind of something between a flute and a principals. You know, I think it adds the right color to the foundation 8 and 4. And to that, a low pitch mixture. Then, adding more gravy, you have the Contra Geigen 16. Have a principal chorus in the choir, but which is completely different from the swell and the great.
It's a little more restrained, I would almost say.
Exactly.
Now it's a 3-rank mixture, so it's just a 1 foot. Exactly. We don't have any mutations in this division.
We don't have, but we have colorful stops.
We have some colorful stops, but yeah, so it's not it's definitely not as French here, is what I was
exactly. It's more English, exactly. And then we have in the flute here we have a cor de nuit and a spiral flute 4 and a flute celeste.
Okay.
So when the shades are open, so let's hear first the cor de nuit 8, which is completely different from of course, from the Swell flutes and the great from. I think we will compare it all together. And again, we will play with the shades and we'll create a complete other sound. Swell with the shades completely closed, choir shades open, and then choir completely closed, Swell. Can create that kind of effect with the shades and the two different colors.
And that corde de nuit is so, it's even more dark and covered than the Swell flute.
Exactly.
And then when you close it down, again, becomes almost inaudible.
Yep. And then you have the flute celeste that goes with it, and that creates a dramatic effect. So the sound is, when the shades are completely open, it's more like French, like the French organ builder would do in the 19th century, and we have a good example of that is Saint-Wonderoi. When the shades are completely closed, you have something more Skinner-esque. Between French and English style.
Yeah, it's very ethereal and gentle there when it's
Exactly.
closed. I can see it just sort of humming underneath a communion service going on or something.
Exactly.
It's very nice.
And then we had reed stops, two colorful reed stops, a French horn and a clarinet. And you know, the clarinet is really, you know, it's a really singing stop. And again, I think it is from Casavant heritage, you know, to create a Franglish tone, because it doesn't sound like a cromorne or a French clarinet, but it doesn't sound like completely like a English clarinet either.
Okay.
So here it is in the tenor range. In the treble range. It's really colorful, and again, you can play with the shades and change the color again. And if you want to have more gravy in it, you know, more plus de corps, you can pull the corde de nuit with it.
The corde de nuit is just big enough to fatten up the sound without adding a lot to it, other than just a little more harmonic color. Yeah.
And then the other colorful reed stop we have is a French horn, which is absolutely completely different from the English horn. Yeah.
That's big. That's a big French horn sound from what I've heard in the past.
He ate too much croissant.
So,
So let's hear that in the tenor range.
It really closes down nicely, though.
Exactly,
So-
and you can also use it as to add it to the foundation stub. It 8 in 16, and it works very well. Dramatic and orchestral effect.
That's a big, dark, warm sound.
Exactly.
That's really nice.
You could play some Wagner with it also.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's switch on the solo division.
Okay.
So it's a high pressure division. It's also expressive. There's some borrows from the choir, but you have two harmonic flutes, so harmonic flute 8 and the concert flute 4. So you will hear it's broad in scale. It's also really it's a commanding sound. So the tonal work here is an ascending tonal work, as in the French tradition.
Louder as we ascend up and
Exactly,
get brighter.
it's especially made for
And
solos.
It should have the solo boxes up on top of the grate, up near the ceiling, so it's sending that sound out.
Exactly,
into the
it's
room.
amplifying, so the shape of the valve here is just, pulling the sound out of the box here.
Okay. All right. And then the
Yeah.
4-foot
the
flute,
4-foot
then on top of that is concert flute.
concert
So
flute
that
4.
by
So
itself.
Exactly. So, of course, it has a different personality from the harmonic flute in the Swell division. It was the Swell. I love to do that. It's so effective. It works very, very fine. And of course, these two guys goes together very well. And you can find here in this division, so two viola. So you have the viola 8 and the viola celeste 8, which is, it has a completely different color. So now you can hear the viol de gamme, that really keen and stringy sound. Rather in scale, of course.
when it's closed down that much, you can use it to accompany some of the other color stops. And even though it's a solo Celeste, it's still at that point soft enough to be an alternative to your Swell Celeste.
Exactly. And also what is interesting, you can pull all these undulating stops all together and create what I like to call a jardin de viol. So you can, just pull all the 16, in, the sub and super couplers together, and you can create a complete different sound, maybe like a theater organ sound. Right? It works very fine. Yeah. All right. And what is also very impressive in the solo division is the tuba, which is absolutely outstanding. It really empowers the organ, and pushes everything with him. But it's a wonderful solo step. You can create a completely different effect with it, with the shades, of course, that are really, really effective. And the perspective here in the middle, in the center of the organ case, gives something completely different. Have a small trumpet or a real tuba.
And that it's available borrowed down to 16, even though it's just an 8-foot stop, so you can couple it up if you want that.
Exactly, so you can
extra octave.
Exactly, something. So it sounds like that. So now you can lead 3 congregations at the same time.
I don't know when you would need that, but when you've got it, when you want it, it's there.
Exactly.
Right. And then we have a few pedal stops.
A few, yeah, just a few.
Just a few over here.
Yeah, so you have a sub bass and a Bourdon 8, which is the fundamental tone of all the settings you can do. So you have also digital stops. Of course, it's a matter of space. Right. So this room is beautiful. You have height, but not so much, and it's not the depth is not so much, so you cannot just fill in with all the pipes you want, of course. So we had to make a choice at this point. So you have the contrabass, which is digital, and sounds lovely actually. So other digital stuff, you have 32-foot, like the contraviolone, which is really effective. It's not so loud, but you create this rumble on the full organ that you want to. If it is too loud, I think it would be overwhelming. Comparison with the contrabourdon. So when you pull the 16 and 32 foot together, so you have borrows from the great, from the swell, from the choir. You'll have the octave 8, the quint, the choral bass, and something which is amazing, and it's also, let's say, a Casavant signature. You have the theorbo, which creates soft rumbles as a 32-foot reed. with the sixth and the seventh, you know. So of course, if you want to play modern music, you can use it as a solo stop. More robotic.
Yeah, I don't know how often that comes up. Now, are those all independent ranks, or are they borrows from other?
They are independent ranks, yeah.
Okay,
so
they are independent. So how many ranks do we use for that?
2 ranks.
Just 2, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So you have the principal families, and then you have the trombone 16, which creates a dramatic effect. It's not too bright, but it really supports all the reed chorus in the organ. You have the trombone with extension. Have some borrowed too, and last digital stub, the contra trombone. So of course, we would like to have a real contra trombone. And also, what is important to mention that the trombone 16, it's in wood resonator, so that's create this, you know, round and soft and dark sound at the same time, not too bright sound. Contra trombone is really effective. You know, not so loud, but it just supports the whole organ too. So you have some borrows from the solo. So there's the harmonic flute. Of course, if you want to play some solos with the turbo, if you will. So it's something like that's really convenient. So it works really fine. So you have the pedal self-other, and it's right in the middle.
Something besides just a 4-foot reed that
exactly
to use as a solo. Well, there was one other digital stop. It's a percussion stop. We have harp and chimes in the solo.
Yes. So you have the chimes and the great. Yeah. And you have the harp. Absolutely
nice
lovely.
extra feature to have.
Exactly, and you have the cymbal stem.
Oh yes, of course.
Which is lovely.
There are a couple of just interesting things about this console. First of all, it's got a piston sequencer, like so many have, but there are extra buttons over there.
Yeah, so
this was an interesting thing.
Yeah, so you have the auto pedal, you have the 10th transpositor. This is absolutely, I think, we need it, but it makes the organist lazier, if I may say. But it's really, really convenient. So you have the sequencer on, so if you want to just play with one button.
It makes everything.
Or if you are an old dinosaur like me, you want to play with all the thumb piston divisions and everything. So I think it's just, for me, it makes something logical. Also, there's an accessory which is absolutely lovely and interesting. There's a sostenuto in the solo, in the swell, and in the choir division.
Well, demonstrate the sostenuto and how it works.
Yeah. So when you play a chord or just a note, it holds it. Let's pull something, a diapason here. So let's say if you want to improvise in the Messiaen style, you can do crazy things. Something like this. So you can have fun in concerts if people want to improvise on a crazy theme. Yeah, Yeah, so I'm joking, of course, but it works very, very well. It's convenient for improvisation.
Well, yeah, and I would say I'm familiar with how it's used on theater organs. I've seen them only there, and in fact, it was just a couple of days ago I was playing somewhere and thought it would be great to have a sostenuto, but nobody puts those on church organs. And here you've got, that's right here, it's ready to go.
So let's say if you want to hold the final chords longer.
Or
and
play a
just
chord, turn a page, re-register, do something. It's a
Exactly.
handy thing to have, and I'm
Yeah, so
hope it shows
basically
up.
it's convenient for improvisation, so you want to hold it has the same rules at the central pedal piano on the grand piano, so it holds the chord or the note that you pressed, and it gives you the opportunity to play something else, like you know that Rachmaninoff had big hands, you can do that kind of stuff, so you can play chords, big chords, and play other chords on this. So it has the same rule.
Well, and one thing I wanted to mention were the page turner next and previous buttons over there on the side of the side jam.
So this is for the page turner, yes.
Yeah,
So you
what
have the sequencer here.
So somebody over there can operate the sequencer without having to get in the way.
Exactly. You
That's
know,
fascinating.
So you don't have hands or somebody is sitting next to you and trying to push the pistons. And I know I made so many exams when I was a student. There was no sequencer at the time, or no combination system, electronic combination system. We had only 6 generals and 5 thumb
Right.
pistons, and the assistant was running around you, you know. And now this is really convenient, so you can play without caring about what's written on the numbers on the post-it, and somebody's just
press the button.
Exactly.
Well, a few other little features. We've got a pedal divide, and explain to me how it works on this organ.
So the pedal divide allows you to have, let's say, fundamental foundation stops in the first octave, and then solo stops on the other side.
The bottom octave will then be the pedal stops drawn from here.
Yep.
And then where do the upper stops come from? So they have to be coupled from another division. Okay.
Your hands are full, so
it's from C up there. I see.
Yeah. So let's try to do something. Organist who improvises.
So it's whatever you couple. If you couple the swell stop down, that'll be on the top.
Exactly.
Okay, very good.
It works the same way.
And this also has a great inquired transfer, in case you want to put the grade on the bottom manual like a proper French.
Exactly. So you can play French music without having to exercise too much on the keyboard. So it is absolutely convenient. Or maybe it's for lazy organists on the Sunday morning when they hadn't much coffee.
Can't reach that one, all right. And then all swells as well, of course. We can couple
exactly.
everything.
So you can couple everything. Like if you're creating a Jardin de Viol, like I did sooner, so you can just control one swell pedal.
And this is the latest Syndyne control system, I understand. And I like this, the control panel's over there in a drawer.
Yep.
Some people may not like that because you have to pull it out to see it, but I like that there's not more stuff up here confusing the console. And
exactly. So
when they have the controls when you need them.
Exactly. So when you're preparing all the registration before a concert or before a service, especially if you're playing with the sequencer. So once everything has been set on the combination system, you don't have to care about the screen anymore. Right. Of course, if there's a problem with something, if you want to reassign a stop, or you want to change something, you have to do it by the screen. So it's a touch screen.
But it's there if you need it.
Yeah, but it's not useful to have it, on the console. So unless it would like a spaceship.
Okay. Whoops. So that's the upper pedal. We have the sub bass at the back. We have the 4-foot principal, the choral bass. The theorbo is here. the octave bass 8, the Borden 8, which is here, and the pedal reed here, and the trombone, the pedal trombone, which is in the choir box downstairs, but the resonators are here in the chamber. So in the old organ, the only access we had was here actually, and we had to get down from here. So we spared that, which is good. So that, you see, it's quite tight actually. The chambers are not big, but we made use of the space. And so we are saving space because there is a door to each level. So we don't lose any space because of ladders and hatches and all of that. Actually, the grills had to be removed and reinstalled. So yeah, the pipes were put down, and so this, like, you know, to make sure that the sound from the choir does not get out of the choir. So they're basically stuck in there. So no cipher possible. So the access to the solo here. Watch your head. Yep. So you see, we're really at the top of the case, and the Swell box was designed in such a way that the case it's also part of the case. So you get in. Once inside, it's comfortable. There's a light switch. So we're in the solo. We have our tuba here at the back. And the big string here, the viola. The violin is at the front. The harmonic flute is here, open to low C. So you see, it's quite compact. And the solo is installed above the grate. So that's how we were able here to design a 4 manual instrument.
It's very compact.
Yeah,
But everything's accessible.
that's the idea. Ouch. You want to go first?
Sure.
Yeah, I need to be in the way. So we have the principal chorus here. Okay.
There we go.
You know, principal 8, the octave 4, the 2 mixtures, the grave mixture and the sharp mixture, the trompette harmonique, the clairon harmonique, and the French horn, 16 and 8, which is half length, of course.
English.
Yeah. So yeah. And the cymbal stem is there. We have 3 more stops. Okay, some more lights. So yeah, so the viol de gambe is here, you know, all full length, that my term. So the bass is here, it goes on, the flute harmonic 4, the harmonic flute 4 it's called. Our celeste is here. Then hazard 2 and 2/3, the piccolo 2-foot, which is harmonic 2, the tierce. So it's interesting that the nazar and the tierce are not harmonic, as a way to keep them a bit more subdued. The oboe. You see, we have nice height here, which is great. And the Borden 16 is here. Oh, and the Borden 8 is at the front. The first top track is the Borden 8, right behind the facade, with two separate motors to be able to close the nave shades when we want to. Le filage est clean. So that's the great, the swell is above, the solo is above us. And the grate is divided, you know, two with chests. So, so we have, let me see what we have. So we have the base of the principal 16, then the principal 8, the octave 4. So you see we have two wind chests, 4 wind chests actually. The bases are divided, are here, the trebles are here. So our trumpet, clairon, the mixture is here, 4-5 mixture. The 3-rank cornets behind us here. And the flute 4 and the chimney flute 8. So we were, you know, that the great thing about the design is that when Terry said we'll just extend the case wall to wall, basically, it gives us width to have a complete grate. So I'll let you complete.
This organ was completed early in 2020. However, the COVID pandemic took out all the dedication activities, so it's only now in September of 2021 that we're getting around to dedicating this instrument. Bradley Welch, who is artist in residence at Preston Hollow Presbyterian Church in Dallas, and also the curator and resident organist of the Lay Family Organ, the Meyerson Fisk, as we know it, in Dallas, has come here to play the dedication recital and share some of his thoughts about this instrument.
It's been a real joy getting to make friends with this instrument over the past 3 days. I came in town Friday evening and then played the dedicatory recital yesterday on Sunday. And it's a marvelous instrument. You know, Casavant has a long history, 130 years of making great pipe organs. And a friend who doesn't know a lot about pipe organs said, do all of that company's instruments kind of sound the same? And I said, you know what flavor you're going to get when you go to play a new Casavant. But if you look at their complete output over 130 years, the tonal scheme and variety has changed with the times. But the thing that I always find impressive is that they really customize the instrument to the room, the needs of the space, the needs of the operation, whether it's a church or a symphony hall. And this instrument is beautiful and wonderful and fills the room with warm, wonderful sound. but it's got all the brilliance one would need. It's got a huge range of color, and of course, as a colorist, I love exploiting all of those things. The tuba is wonderfully enormous and is wonderfully English. You know, you think French-Canadian company, how's that tuba going to sound? It's iconic. It sounds wonderful and is really kind of a crowning glory on top of everything else. I think one of the things that I find when I'm going to different instruments is I always think, can I get it to be a little bit more bright, or can I get a little more darkness, or can I get more bass? And what I loved is that all of those capabilities were always here. I could go in any direction that I wanted, depending on the repertoire and how full the room was with people, how those aspects changed the sound. And to me, that's the mark of a great instrument, is one that is totally adaptable to the instrument and the needs of the music.
Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this tour of this 2020 Casavant organ here at First United Methodist Church in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We have more organs from Baton Rouge coming up, so I hope you'll subscribe to our channel and make sure you click the bell for notifications. If you like this video, please click the thumbs up button. I'd like to thank Couture, Dany Wiseman, and Bradley Welch, and especially Lamar Drummonds for getting us down here to Baton Rouge. We also owe thanks to APOBA, the Associated Pipe Organ Builders of America. Casavant is a member of this organization that upholds stringent standards in pipe organ building and design. For more information about them and their member builders, go to apoba.com. If you would like to become a sponsor of the Organ Media Foundation and help us make more videos, you can do that by going to organ.media and clicking on support. In the meantime, for streaming classical organ music 24 hours a day, visit any of our 3 streaming stations: organlive.com, Positively Baroque, and The Organ Experience. I'm Brent Johnson. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.